very good morning, evening, or afternoon, members of the internet. Welcome to another exciting episode right here on Mwelekeo TV, where we dive deep into Kenya's conversations on governance, youth, and social economic realities. Here, we don't just talk, we turn research into dialogue and dialogue into impactful action that will not only inspire you, but also us. On Mwelekeo, we bring you stories, insights, and perspectives that matter, highlighting the people and ideas shaping Kenya's present and the future. My good name is Tony Nyako. Kuna kama kawaida on our social media platforms, we are open. Kindly follow us pale kwenye TikTok, kwenye Facebook, kwenye Instagram, and on YouTube, it's Mwelekeo TV. Kindly subscribe, dunga kengele, so that if any video gets to drop, you'll be the first one to get notified. Today, we're having a very candid and impactful conversation. Now, across Kenya, countless young people face barriers to accessing quality education, mentorship, and life skills that are critical for breaking cycles of poverty. While research has highlighted these challenges, there are still gaps in understanding how holistic, student-centered programs can transform lives and communities. Today, we explore this intersection of evidence, impact, and innovation through the work of someone who is making a real difference in the community. We are honored to host a remarkable changemaker, Josephine Flora, the founder and executive director of BrightPath Kenya. Josephine has dedicated her career to empowering vulnerable students, providing not just scholarship, but mentorship, life skill development, physical development, and psychosocial support, a holistic approach that addresses both academic and personal growth. Under her leadership, BrightPath Kenya is redefining what it means to support young people in realizing their full potential, bridging the gap between research insights and tangible community impact. Beyond her organizational work, Josephine brings insights from her experience in international development, nonprofit strategy, and youth empowerment, making her uniquely positioned to share lessons of leadership, impact, and the power of research-informed programs. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me introduce to you Josephine Flora. Josephine Flora, karibu sana kwenye set.
Asante.
How are you feeling kufika hapa Mwelekeo TV?
I feel good.
Unajua the first time niliotumiwa your profile na nikapata it's very detailed and you've got so much happening around your life.
Mm-hmm.
Just for our viewers to get it from the horse's mouth itself.
Mm-hmm.
Wewe tuambie Josephine Flora ni nani na BrightPath ilianziaje?
Okay. My name is Josephine Flora, vile wamesikia, and I'm a mentor,
yes,
above anything. I'm a teacher, and I'm also, as you've heard, the founder of BrightPath Kenya.
Yes.
And at BrightPath, I'm also a program manager. I help run activities there and manage the activities there. And I'm also a teacher.
A teacher by profession.
Yes, I'm a teacher by profession, actually. I'm a teacher of mathematics and business studies. So yes, I want to brag that I'm a jack of all trades. But I can't brag on that because I am terrible with anything science. So I will not brag on that line. Why BrightPath and why it started? It started this year, actually, in 2025, January. But its inception process was started in 2024, but the official registration was concluded in January 14th, 2025. The reason we started it is to give Kenyans a voice, because we were existing before as We Care For, and We Care For was based in Switzerland. So the founders of We Care For felt like they needed to give Kenya a voice and let the organization be run by Kenyans for the Kenyans, because we understand best our problems, we understand our students best, we understand where the need is. So it was handed over to us. And when I floated the idea to them and they were like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay. So I shared the proposal, and that's how we founded BrightPath, to share the stories of our Kenyan students, to know where the need is. And we wanted to be very different from other organizations that are offering scholarships. While others are focusing on the bright, needy students, Our focus is on the motivated vulnerable students, because most of the time we ignore the kids that didn't get, like in the KCPE era, the cutoff point mostly is usually 400 and above, or 350 and above. That's when the scholarship can be offered. But what about that kid that got 290 something, and that's the best they could get, or they were not in the best environment to afford that 350 marks? True. So we focused more on 250 kids and above, the average students, and give them support. So other than just the marks, we also look at the motivation. So why BrightPath was founded is to give voice to the students that have been neglected mostly by the society.
I just wanted to know, Josephine, how do you get to identify these individuals from the vulnerable society?
That's a good question. We work mostly with community-based organizations. So we have partners around different counties in Kenya. So our partners are the ones that bring these students to us. So they know the community better. I can't go to Nyeri and pick a student there. I haven't lived there. I don't know what the status of that particular community. Someone that's working there and interacts with the community knows them better. So we have community-based organizations and partners that help us identify the students and do the due diligence for us. By the time we step in, we are assured that we have the right people, because we vet our partners to ensure that we have the right community-based organizations that we're working with.
So most mnawak na community-based individuals kule kwenye ground, alafu wanapatia the names and list of these individuals that are vulnerable but inspired.
Yes. Now, we even have situations where we work with school head teachers, or the area chief, because the chief knows the ins and outs of that village. True. So we work with, there are situations where we are forced to work with individuals where there's no community-based organization, but there's need for education. So we work with the area chief or the head teachers. Someone knows someone.
Kuna mtu anajua mtu.
Yes.
Now, before we delve deep into the conversation of how you began, I just want to get the inspiration behind it. Sababu umesema maanza 2025, na ukiangalia it's about 7, 8, 9 months. So what was the inspiration behind it and the experience that led you to forming this organization?
Okay. So the inspiration, I've worked in the community for years. Okay. When I say that, someone might think I am 50 years or something. No, I'm not. I'm barely 30. But with the ever since I was in high school, I've been in community work initiatives. So I've volunteered a lot in the community. So that's how I got inspired to doing mostly community work. But other than that, I've been born and bred in Kibera slums. I've stayed there for almost 18, 19 years. And I got to experience life from a whole different lens. So when you live there and come to this other side of the world and you're like, oh my goodness, people are so blind to the needs of the society. And every time I introduce myself and tell people where I've been brought, the assumption is watu wa Kibera wako hivi. Wako hawaezi soma, wanajua kurusha tu mawe. They are associated with there is a stereotype around that, and illiteracy. Hawajaenda shule. And then I'm like, okay, then that means something needs to be done in our, not just the slums, but even in our informal settlements. How can we help that? And during the period that I lived there, I got to see my friends not go to school. In our class, we had 129 students. Barely half of us made it to high school, let alone university. Ladies got pregnant, because when we did KCPE, I had 5 classmates that were pregnant.
After the exams?
During the exams. During the exams. One gave birth after the last paper. And the others got married. Most of them got married. And others couldn't afford school fees to go to high school. So when you meet these girls, I've stayed with them. Most of them are bright. But due to circumstances, that's where they found themselves. So if such a person comes out and says they want to go back to school, the society will probably stereotype them into not going to school. And when you speak about certain things, people will be like, no, what were they doing? Walikuwa wanafanya nini wengine wakisoma? Kazi ilikuwa kuzurura. But it is not true. If you've been to Kibera, you'll understand.
I've been there.
The situation there ain't good. Circumstances are tough. Sometimes you need to figure out hata chakula mtatoa wapi. So most of them did it for survival. Like those that got married, they were like, that was the only escape for us. That was the best we knew how to survive. So when I got the opportunity to ensure that these kids go to school, that was my run. I was like, I'll make sure, because I was the lucky one. I was among the few lucky ones to get scholarship to to go to high school because I went to high school through scholarship. I was among the few ones that went to high school through scholarship. But how many could get scholarship? How many were denied the opportunity to go to school, to access education like any other normal child? The boys went into gang violence, not because they wanted. That was the only means of survival. There was no one to mentor them. There was no one to guide them. There was no one to train them. If they had this at a very young age, we'd have a completely different society. So when I got the opportunity and the platform to offer kids out there such a baton, to take the baton and run, I decided I'll do it. I might not have all the resources in the world, but for that one boy, one girl that we can send to school and mentor and empower and make sure that their psychosocial well-being is in place, I will run with it.
You've talked about growing up in the ghetto. Sababu Kibera ni ghetto kule.
Yes.
Now you've talked about what shaped your idea of coming up with the BrightPath. Is there any experience that you underwent while still living in Kibera ambayo ukasema, I need to change my perspective about life and to begin this journey of helping the vulnerable in the society?
Okay. When I was living there, oh God, I had so many experiences.
Just one that in a click mbio kwenye akili.
Yenye ilinifanya nikasema I need to change. One was the death of my dad. I remember it was on a Sunday morning, 29th of May, 2016. And I was supposed to go for a football match. I've played football. If you live in Kibera, you need to find something to keep you going or you'll go mad.
Sababu unaona kuna art, kuna theaters.
Yeah, so I was on the football bit of it. So I remember we had semi-finals that morning and we woke up and he told me, he used to call me Kamama. So he was like, Kamama, leo mko na mchezo na sioni kama unaamka mapema. Nimetoka, close the door, na tupatane jioni utaniambia vile kumeenda. 30 minutes or an hour later, we woke up to screams around and there were chaos and our door was being banged. We were living in a self-confused house. If I say self-confused, you understand. Kitchen, bedroom, everything is there. Yes.
You can see everything. You are worth.
Unaona wealth yako at a glance. So tukaamka and watu walikuwa wanapiga mayowe and people were screaming and growing up my name was Josie. So they were calling out my name and I'm wondering what's happening. So I wake up and I go out and the first word I had is amekufa. And then I'm like, who's dead? What's happening? And my assumption is, it's my auntie in the village or something, because the one that was telling me was my cousin. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, mama yake amekufa, because my dad left for work and that's the least person I expect to be dead. I mean, nimemwongelesha asubuhi. Exactly. So she was pointing a certain direction and we went to the direction. I didn't go. I was still trying to figure out. So my sister was slippery. She played tennis. So she ran to the place she was pointing. And when we reached there, we found his body there. He was murdered by thieves in the morning on his way to work. He didn't even make it. Alitoka 5:30. So it was, na hiyo time tulikuwa tunaamshwa, it was before 6. Ilikuwa saa moja. And that's how we found his dead body there, butchered actually. And all his belongings, the wallet, the phone, everything were there.
Hakubeba kitu.
No. So from that experience, I was like, hell no. I don't have a plan B. That was my plan B, because at that time my mom had already passed on. So we only had dad and he was our everything. So I realized there's no plan A. There's no plan B. That was my plan A and plan B. So I need to figure out my life. And you know how it works in most African homes. You're left in the hands of relatives. A relative will never treat you the same as your mom or your dad. They don't care whether you go to school or not, whether you pass, whether you proceed and become someone in the society. They don't care. So from that, the first thing I told my neighbor was, tutaanzia wapi? Because that was our plan. Sasa tutaenda wapi? And I realized I need to pull up my socks. I need to study hard. I need to do everything that I do. I need to do extra because I don't have a fallback plan. I am my fallback plan. So to me, that was my turning point. That was the moment I realized, you need to work harder. You need to change your mindset. You need to realize that this is not the normal. So I needed to figure out now, Kibera is not as comfortable as I thought. because I can't even afford to take care of anything. So yes, that was my turning point.
Wow, such an inspiring story.
Yes.
Now let's talk about success. Sababu kuna mtu atasoma angalie aseme Josephine, ukiangalia kuna mtu labda hata ajui story yako, but when they look at your portfolio wanasema this lady has a lot going on. According to you, how do you define success? Ukiambiwa mtu akisema Josephine is successful, but for you, you feel bado hujafika unakotaka. So how do you define success, and how does it shape your perspective about BrightPath?
Okay. The day I'll see our students independent and standing on their own, able to cater for their own personal needs with their confidence here, because right now we're struggling with that, with the right self-esteem and self-reliance, to me, that's success. When I meet this kid and they're timid and shy and can't express themselves, and then 4 years down the line, I meet the same student and they're confident, they're smiling, they're happy. I like seeing them happy. I'm a happy person. So when I see them happy, expressive, that can't beat success. That's success.
That's success.
What else do we want? This kid has developed. This kid has evolved. You know, when you're confident and you're there, your mental health is in the right place, it gives you enough room to think outside the box or without the box, as most would say it. Because when you are shy from even exploring opportunities.
True.
But with confidence, I am sure huyu anaweza survive huko nje. Yes.
Have you ever met with a student ambaye alipitia through, imeanza juzi, but have you ever had an experience ya mtu ambaye ako pale ndani ya BrightPath, but their success story so inspiring to you?
Yes. There's a university student. It's a boy. He comes from Marigat, Endorise community. It's a very small community in Baringo County. And that community is mostly of people that have been displaced by the bandits. So their land was grabbed, and now he was forced to drop out of school because now they've had to move like to 5 different homes. So he was very shy. When you talk to him, he will look down. But he's bright. He has things to say. When you push it, because I like pushing people to conversations. So when you push that conversation, he has things that in his heart that he wants to say. So when we took him in, he was 22 years old. And I remember the first thing he told me, just a minute. The first thing he told me is, Madam. They like calling me that. I don't know why. Madam. Mimi sijui nitafit aje shule. Nataka kwenda shule, but sijui nitafit aje. Naona ni kama mimi ni mzee sana. Because to join first year at 22, that means atamaliza akiwa 26.
27.
Yes. So in his mind, he's like, I'm too old for my peers, but I really want to go back to school. So he went to school. That is when we were still under We Care For. And we had a conversation the other day. I went to visit him. We usually do normal school visits, even for especially for the university ones.
Academic visits.
Yes. I'm just like, your N is here. I can just walk in. And I'm like, hi, Evans, I'm at your school. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm coming. So I went, and he's like, you can come even to my room and see where I stay. So we went to the hostels. And when we were having a conversation just to find out what he wants to do in life, and he's like, I want to go back to my community and I want to stop the culture of female genital mutilation and early marriage. And I'm like, when did this click that you want to do it? I'm like, I've lived there and I've come this other side and gone to school, and I've realized it is not normal. Other communities are not doing it. I don't know why it's different for my community. For a young man to say that, it takes a lot, because mostly we expect the ladies to say that in the name of feminism. So it'll be like, hiyo ni kazi ya wanawake. But this is a young man. He's 24. But he's already thinking about how he'll go back to his community and transform the community. So that's another area, another thing that we'd also define as success, because we mold our students, not just for ourselves. That's why we take the motivated one, so that they go back to the community and give back. And the cycle continues. In 70 years, 100 years time, I will not be alive, but these kids will be there. They'll remember, this is the culture of BrightPath. This is the culture of what We Care For taught us and trained us to do. Yes. Now,
Josephine, we'll be getting back about the organizational vision and approach. But ladies and gentlemen, back at home, kama unafuatilia this discussion, kindly tell us, what is success according to you? Josephine amesema kwamba for her success ni akiona wale watu ambao wamepitia through BrightPath, they succeed, they are joyous, wako na ile mood nzuri sababu maisha inawapeleka vizuri. For you, how do you define success and how can you make an impact in your society just like Josephine Flora? Now, Josephine, BrightPath supports students academically, socially and emotionally. How did you design this holistic approach? Sababu umesema nyinyi si ati kwamba mnachukua tu wanafunzi ambao wako 400 marks and above. No, from 250, provided you are motivated, yes, you want to go for it. How did you?
Yes, it was not an individual. We didn't do it the way our government makes policies. We actually did good feasibility tests. We told you we work with community-based organizations. Yes. We have partners that we've partnered with that actually work in the community and interact with different students. Because we realized kids in Nairobi have different needs from kids in the rural areas. True. Urban and rural kids are very different in terms of their needs. What might seem like a need to a child in Kibera is not a need to a child in Baringo. They are very different. So we decided to engage with our community leaders and our partners. So we had a whole session of training and learning and asking questions. So they got to share what they think will be the need for their students other than taking them to school. So one of the things that came out clear was mentorship. This cut across all the students, whether from the urban or the rural areas, mentorship and psychosocial support. And they had backings for it. They'll even give us statistics. They'll give us data. They'll give us why they think their kids need mentorship, which made sense. I mean, this kid is traumatized. This kid barely has food. Does it make sense to give them education and expect this kid to be okay? Some of these kids are fighting from gender-based violence. Home mom and dad are fighting 24/7. When they go to school, concentration is hardly there. So this child needs psychosocial support. Some of these kids, like the kids that I've told you that are struggling with displacement by the bandits, how do you expect this kid to concentrate? Every time anafikiria, ama wazazi wangu wamepigwa risasi, ama wameuawa. There's that. So we figured, other than scholarship, why not have a whole being, a whole package for our students? So that's how we came up with it.
Now, you've mentioned a very important point about mentorship. Na nakumbuka sisi tukikua, kuna kitu ambayo kunaitwa role model. What's the difference between a role model and a mentor? And for your organization, why is it important for a mentor to be there for the success of the students?
A role model is someone you look up to, like,
yes,
I want to be like so-and-so. But a mentor is someone that walks with you. You see them, you feel them, they hear you, they understand you, and they don't question you. They listen to what you have to say. And that is why it is important for us, for our kids to have mentors, someone that they can freely talk to. The other day we had a 3 days mentorship camp, and some of the kids couldn't tell me certain things. But when we brought their mentors on board, they are free to share with them. And so the mentors will be the one to give us feedback. But then this kid was molested. So you guys need to figure out how to support him. We need a therapy session. We need counseling for this child. That is something they can't tell us directly. Or this kid has not been performing because the dad is drinking a lot. They don't want to tell us that. But if we have a mentor that they're free with, they'll share. Another one will be like, I didn't perform well because I was sick during exams. They can't tell us because they are shy. They expect, they're like, ama Madam Flora hataelewa. There's that respect also. And then cutting between professionalism and all, it becomes very difficult. So they'll be free with someone else. Not all, there are those that are very free with us, but not all the kids are free. Yes.
Now you talked about the issue of mentorship. Na shanga tu umechukua mtoto kutoka kwenye slum, ama ule wa Baringo ambao ulikuwa umemtaja. Then they get to this very different, there's always that culture shock. Unapata labda wewe, you just feel like you don't fit in this society, especially for the campus na pia high school. How do you go about it in motivating such kind of students?
That's a very good question. Because during our mentorship camp that we had, the one I've mentioned, it was here in Nairobi. And we have kids from Baringo, Kisii, Kakamega, Vihiga, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, Nyamira, and Nairobi. And of course, Nairobi, it's the different informal settlements. So when these kids meet, they usually don't know how to start interacting. Because kuna hawa wanaongea hii lugha, because most of them wanaongea their native. Yes, kuna sheng ya Nairobi, na kuna hawa hawaelewi sheng. Even the type of music that excites them is very different. So you'd see them when we are giving them rooms where they'll sleep, we pair them. Someone will go for someone they came from the same village with. So in that case, we start by that. Pick someone from a whole different community. So they get to interact. And then when we're bringing in the mentors, we bring mentors that will help them be free and ask those questions. Like the other day, they asked me if they can go to town and just walk. Teacher, tujai kuja Nairobi. Tunazaenda tuone hata archives iko wapi. So you take them to such trips. They go and experience it. And what we tell them is you're different. We understand you've grown up the same way watoto wa Nairobi wakienda Kisii, watashanga. Ni vile pia nyi mkikuja, it is not the normal setup. So we try to tell them you can ask as many questions as possible. Feel free to ask. If there's something that is not clear, let us know. We will figure that out. So there's that togetherness. Tunajaribu kublend both the mentors and the students. Wakiwa hivyo pamoja, how can we make each other comfortable and also learn this new culture and this new environment? Because kuna culture shock. A lot of culture. Kuna mwenye aliniambia mi hata shower sijui kufungua. Si ukuje unifunze. Mwingine yako like, hii shower ni moto sana. Neza reduce wapi. So you see certain things. You'll laugh about it. But what I do, I don't laugh. I correct. And then later, when we've now become comfortable, now we will laugh about it. I'm like, even when you came here, you didn't know how to operate this and this and this. So there's that.
I'm quite sure as a teacher and as a mentor, kuna vitu pia ambao umejifunza from these very students. There's a lot that you can say, mi sikuwa najua hii, and I've learned from this vulnerable and motivated student. Any lesson, any story that you have in mind?
Mine is the major thing. I thought I'm resilient. I don't think I'm resilient. These kids are resilient. I've learned so much resilience and just being happy in your space. Sometimes I go home and I'm like, I should be happy because these kids have gone through so much, but they still afford a smile and they're still hanging in there. There's so much resilience in them that is admirable. So I've learned that because you hear certain stories. I have a girl. She came to me and she was she just wanted to talk. And we were talking. One of the things that she mentioned is she was abandoned by both the mother and the father and left in the hands of the grandmother. When you listen to such a story, you're starting to wonder, mtoto mdogo alisurvive aje bila kunyonya, hajui mama yake, hajui baba, na wako hai, wako tu somewhere in Kenya. And this kid doesn't know where they are, but she's still hanging in there. She still has dreams. She told me she wants to become a doctor, and I hope she becomes one because she's bright. She, when we were doing her interview, she had 396 in her KCPE. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, this kid has all the reason in the world. Akona excuses zote. She's happy. She's beautiful. She's smart. So from them, I get to learn why life is good to appreciate. And there's so much, the importance of just hanging in there, resilience. It's one thing that stands out across all our students.
I want us to take this a notch higher. Let's talk about education. Sababu study shows that education isn't enough to break the cycle of poverty. Sababu wengi wale ambao unamenta pia their main aim is to break this cycle of poverty. Have you seen this reflect in your work? Have you seen this reflect in your work that education is not the only thing that can break the cycle of poverty? How true is this?
I'd agree with that. And that's why we are doing a holistic thing for our students, a holistic approach. Because what's next after education when you are disturbed? What is next after education when you lack basic life skills to help you maneuver the streets? Sometimes people say street smart is better than someone that is academically smart. So why not give this kid all the weapons? Then let them figure out where and how they'll use it. So no, I don't think education is the only path. It is one.
It's one of the paths.
But there are other factors that should be factored in. Yeah.
A lot has been said. Research imefanywa kila siku. Research zinaonyesha kwamba there are students that need education. There are vulnerable children in the society. But there are there are important lessons or data that has not been shared, let's say, to the government or other institutional. What do research and data often miss about the reality of vulnerable students in Kenya? Because kuna research nyingi ambazo zinafanywa, but there's always that missing point. Can you just point out some of them?
Yeah, one of it is Have they factored in why young girls get pregnant early? Have they factored in why, as that had been collected, why we have so many young men into drugs? And nowadays the girls are joining at a very high speed. Have they factored in why we have suicidal cases among young people? Have they factored in why we have so many high dropout rates among our teenagers and even young adults? I think there's so much data that's being missed, because the assumption is we have poor kids that don't go to school. But why? What is even making why are they poor? Let's start from there. Is it that the economic status of our nation is not stable enough for the parents to have decent jobs, for the guardians to have decent jobs? What is affecting this? Are there other backing that can be solved to at least address this problem halfway? Because if you offer bursaries and not address the problem to the core, then you've solved it halfway. Like with the BrightPath, what we are now currently trying to help also do when we are collecting this data, because we had that data collection this year, we've been doing mostly data collection, is how can we have parental engagement? Let's meet these parents and discuss with them, because we've had several cases of young girls getting pregnant and the parents are not doing anything. The perpetrators are young men that are of age. These are 13-year-old. So according to our policy, when someone gets pregnant, according to most scholarships, is they're supposed to be
terminated.
Yes. But I'm like, we've terminated it. How have we solved the problem? Because this child will grow up with another child, and then that child will probably end up like the parents. Not 100%, but chances are very high. So why not allow this girl go to school and ensure that she finishes? And at the same time, how can we prevent another case like this one happening? Because the parents have normalized taking back the children and having inaitwanga kuongea ati tutaongea na familia ya kijana. A 30-year-old and a 13-year-old, does it make sense? It doesn't. So what is the government doing to make sure that such cases are addressed? Because you go to the area chief and the chief looks at you like, familia imesema aje? And I'm like, what do you mean familia imesema aje? This is clearly a violation. Something needs to be done about this. So we're trying to have parental engagement so that to help them understand why we need these kids in school, why we need them in the right mental health, and why we need the parents to put in the effort. This kid didn't sign up to be brought to this world. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that they go through school, finish school in the right state of mind, and actually become someone, not go back to the normal system.
You've mentioned something very important. I mean, ukumbusha kwamba as Mwelekeo Insights, we did a research on the Gen Z uprising during the maandamano. And we found out that one of the reasons walikuwa naandamana is because they say, walikuwa nasema kwamba serikali haitusikii. We have been through school, tumesoma, and yet the government does not give us jobs. Do you think that the government policies that are in place, do they reflect the needs of the students or the youth in the ground?
Okay, one thing I'll tell you, our government, that's the government of Kenya, is very good with policies. God, they write very nice stories about the policies they have in place, but very terrible at implementing them. A good example is CBC. It's a beautiful, beautiful system. Have you seen how it's been implemented?
No.
Total nonsense. It's not making sense. So I think the implementation is mostly the problem. And right now, the other day I was having a discussion about the disbursement of funds for our university students. And now that they've been put into different bands, those bands are not making sense. Because we have kids that are in band 4 that clearly deserve to be in band 1. So I'm wondering what process did they go through to do due diligence to tell them that this kid is actually supposed to be in band 4 and not band 1 or band 3 and not 1, because now it doesn't make sense. And have they tried other means like ensuring that there is accommodation, enough accommodation, not just accommodation, enough accommodation for our university students? They can access meals before addressing these other issues. So I feel like they need to also restructure how they do their policies. It is like, I was telling a friend of mine, you cannot be making policies about people in Mandera at Kempinski. It is crazy. Go to the community, talk to them, find out what are their needs, and then make the policies. But our government makes beautiful policies that are good for the media and showcasing, and they're not a reflection of what the need on the ground is.
Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, you can interact with us on our social media platforms. Pale kwenye YouTube, just comment. And the question of the day, we're asking, what how do you define success wewe? Na pia Josephine amesema kuhusiana na masuala ya implementation and policy making, especially for the government. Do you think that the government is implementing the policies they have kept in place? And do you think this implementation are working, especially for the CBC and students across the country? On all our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, it's Mwelekeo Insights, na pale kwenye YouTube na TikTok, it's Mwelekeo TV. Let's keep the conversation going. Now, before we go for a short commercial break, what inspires you as a Josephine? Kila siku ukiamka unasema, I need to go hard. Mimi nafaa niende tu. What keeps you motivated? What keeps inspiring you?
Other than my own personal story, it is the need to see the society a better place. Because every time I wake up, I'm reminded, tomorrow it can be my child. Tomorrow it can be my friend's child. It can be anyone that is falling victim. What am I doing to ensure that in the next 10 years, it will be a safer space for the next child, for the next generation? So that every day I wake up, I'm reminded we are not yet there. The society is not yet where it is supposed to be. It's not yet a safe space for the next generation to come. So for as long as I'm breathing, I guess it's a full-time job.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow us to take a quick break. I'm speaking to Josephine Flora. She is the founder and executive officer at BrightPath Kenya, an organization that helps the vulnerable in the society achieve their dreams through education. My name is Tony Nyakoko. We'll be back after this short break.
My name is Josephine Flora. I am the founder and the program manager at BrightPath Kenya. BrightPath Kenya was founded in 2025 and was previously We Care for Kenya, which was based and registered in Switzerland. The reason for founding BrightPath Kenya was to give access to quality education to our students from the different parts of Kenya, but the most vulnerable and motivated students in Kenya. So far, we've managed to support close to 333 students that we have under our program, our mentorship program. Other than mentorship, other than scholarship, we also do mentorship and empowerment programs. We also offer psychosocial support to our students because most of them are from vulnerable homes. So the psychosocial support comes a long way. In the next few years, 5 years, we're probably hoping to expand our programs, that is scholarship and mentorship nationwide, to capture desired needs in the different parts of the country and offer access to mentorship and empowerment program. Probably have a mentorship hub for our students where they can access free mental health services wherever or whatever time they need. The reason why we started this program and why we chose to approach it from a scholarship and empowerment perspective is because looking at the education sector, there's been a huge gap in funding and accessing to quality education. Most of the time, our kids don't go to school. They have to drop after graduating from grade 8, which is now gonna be grade 6, because now junior secondary is another expense altogether. So we figured, why not step in and support, if not one or two or a few of our learners get access to this education and not have to drop out of school. Another reason why we opted to do for mentorship and empowerment program is we've had instances where, for example, for girls, they have issues accessing basic necessity like sanitary towels. So through our mentorship program, we get to supply these items to them. And we've had very generous donors who've offered to actually support us and ensure that our girls get sanitary towels during each of our mentorship and empowerment programs during the holiday. So if you are out there and want to join us or want to donate or want to support or want to volunteer, feel free to join. We welcome everyone that is hoping to join us in this journey in aligning our goals and meeting our mission and vision for our students here in Kenya. You can reach us via our email address, our website, or even our social handles. We are receiving all the support that can be offered because it takes a village to raise a child. You can be that village today, you can be that village tomorrow. Our email address is info@brightpathkenya.org and our website is brightpathkenya.org, and our social handles cuts across. It's all BrightPath Kenya from Twitter, which I've been told it's X. to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Instagram, to TikTok. You can find us there. Thank you very much. And let's all empower kids out there. Let's all reach out to a child out there. Let's put a smile to someone or on someone's face. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Mwelekeo TV, where we always bring dialogue into data and conversation. My good name is Tony Nyakoko, and today we're having a candid conversation with Josephine Flora, who happens to be the founder of BrightPath Kenya. We've been having a candid conversation on matters education, and I was just thinking about how do you assess the impact of BrightPath other than academically? How do you?
Yeah. Okay. Other than academically, that's very important, because academically it's easy. You just look from the previous results and the next results. So with the others, it's mostly one observation.
Yes.
You observe a kid's character from the day you pick them, because in our stages of selection, we have interview phase where we interview the student and the parent. So during the interview, you gather a lot. So the next time you're having a conversation with this kid, you can be able to weigh the last time this kid was here and this kid is here. If the level of confidence was here, now you can tell it is somewhere higher. Another one is feedback from the parents and our partners. So we get to ask them, because they interact with them more often than we do. So we get to ask them what they feel. And sometimes even the parents themselves just call to tell us, whatever you guys are doing is working for my child. Nowadays, anafanya hivi na hivi na hivi. And these are the feedbacks that guide us. And we also have monitoring and evaluation tools. We have interview sheets that they fill in. For example, when we are having our mentorship camp, there's what they fill in. And then when we're done, there's what they fill in. So there is the questionnaire, and then there is the observation, and then there is feedback.
Is there any story, inspirational story ambayo mzazi alikuja akakwambia, unajua Flora, mimi mtoto wangu hapa Kibera ukimchukua kidogo alikuwa amelegea. But the moment she began interacting with your program, nimeona kwamba there is so much improvement. Is there any inspirational story you can derive from that?
Yes, actually, it's a boy. The parents didn't tell us, but we saw it. When we met him, the only thing he could think about was football. And I remember him saying he really wants to finish school so that he can pursue football. But then when we started interacting, he started now thinking outside the box. And now he started telling us he's hoping to do football at a professional level, but there are various things that he also wants to achieve before that. He started putting effort in school, putting effort in academic work, and we're like, oh, interesting. This is a whole 360 change. Another one was a girl. When we picked her, she was shy and timid. And the reason for that was she was a young mother. So she wasn't sure how acceptance will be for her. But with time, she's now vocal. She's now sharing her story. She's now ready to embrace what life has set for her. The other day when I talked to her, she told me she wants to become a nurse. And I was like, that's interesting, because previously she was like, I honestly just want to finish school. But right now she's thinking beyond school, because during our mentorship and our trainings, one of the things that, and our empowerment programs, one of the things that we've really emphasized on was on career guidance. We try to guide them on the different path other than the normal doctor, engineer, pilot. There are other things that they can pursue. So if you wanted to become a doctor, we bring someone to talk to you and see if that's really what you want. Because sometimes they say that out of pressure. So career guidance is one of the major emphasis that we have, and that we feel has shaped our students and changed their view of life and their perspective of what they want to become. Yeah.
For your organization, unajua kwa kiasi kikubwa you need funds. Na wakati mwingine unapata kwamba getting these funds inakuwa ni kizungumkuti. It's always challenging, especially for a non-profitable organization. Now, how has your partnership with international organizations, or better still, local organizations helped you in shaping the ideology of BrightPath standing out in the society?
Yes, you're very right on that. Issues funding is tough for non-governmental organizations, especially those that are starting. Gathering resources is not easy, but we are grateful to We Care For, who's literally worked with us since inception. They've ensured that most of our needs are at least catered for. But again, there's what we call sustainability. So you again are on your feet to ensure that you are sustainable in the long run. So we've partnered with different organizations that are very good with issues mentorship. So some of our girls, we have 129 girls. Actually, they're now 135 girls that are being supported by one of our partner organizations on matters mentorship and leadership. So that we are like, okay, due to this partnership, at least now this part of it has been catered for. But now we step in now when it comes to matters school and all that. But when it comes to the mentorship and empowerment program, they are doing that. We also have one of our partners that is into sports. So they help nurture talent through sports. So we are sure that they can help support at least to this length. And our kids are now becoming holistic thanks to their support. So with the different partnerships that we have and the CBOs that we've partnered with, a huge part of our need or resources is being lifted off our shoulders. But if we want to reach more people, we need more partners, we need more funders, we need more donors. I mean, the need is a lot. Trust me, it's a lot. This September alone, we've received close to 233 requests for university scholarship. And we can't cater for all that. Because you also look, nikichukua huyo mtoto, tutamaliza na yeye the 4 years ama tutamwachia katikati. Are we able to meet the psychosocial support that comes with it? Because other than school fees, kuna accommodation, kuna therapy, kuna chakula, kuna transport. Are we able to meet that for 4 years? So looking at sustainability, inabidi mnakata the number. Yes.
Now, kabla tujapiga hatua, you've talked about funding, those who are also willing to join your program by donations. How can one join your program kwanza? Ili anataka kufund, anataka kuwa donor, anataka kuwa sponsor partner. How does one get to work with you?
Okay, so they can reach out to us via we have our social handles. We also have our official email address, info@brightpathkenya.org. And we also have our website, brightpathkenya.org. And our social handles are BrightPath Kenya. So they can get us on Twitter. Okay, it's now X. X. There is Instagram, there's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's LinkedIn. They can find us there, or via our website. You can message us there, brightpathkenya.org, or our official email address, info@brightpathkenya.org.
Yeah, umesikia. So it's BrightPath Kenya kila mahali, on Facebook, on Instagram, pale kwenye X, unajua. Ingia pale. If you're a sponsor, if you're a partner that wants to work with them, ensure that education keeps moving forward in Kenya. Now, let's talk about technology. Sababu ni kitu ambacho is so close to us as Mwelekeo TV and Mwelekeo Insights. Do you guys incorporate technology in your daily activities?
We are working towards that, actually. Because one of the major technological tools that we need is one that measures vulnerability and helps to do due diligence. Because as we grow, we are going to have more applications.
Yes.
Do we really want to go through the whole manual process? We'll definitely need to embrace technology on this one. So we are working towards developing a tool which is in the pipeline. We hope that with more funding, we'll be able to cater for it, but it's in the pipeline. A tool that helps us measure vulnerability. So when we fill in the details, we don't have to again go back and counter check manually. All the details are in the system, so that helps us. So there is that. And also maybe trainings for our students. That is also something we are also embracing. We have one of our volunteers for our mentorship program. He's pro technology and AI, now that the world is going AI, yes. who is willing and has offered during most of our trainings to train our university students on issues IT and AI, just to help them catch up with where the world is evolving. So with the manners technology, we are headed somewhere. We're still having several plans in the pipeline. We hope to catch up with the world.
So if in the world of technology na maswala ya AI and you want to partner with them, kindly do it. Sababu unajua AI is the next big thing. Na hii dunia sasa, especially for students, for bright learners, if you're not well equipped when it comes to technology, then kidogo unakuanga umeachwa nyuma. Now, scaling is always a challenge for majority of organizations, but maintaining quality is also something that you guys hold dear. How do you ensure that you don't compromise on quality even as you think of scaling up the ladder?
One of the things, and I tell this to even my team when we are having our internal meetings, is quality over quantity. I'd rather we select those 5 students that will get 100% out of the program than select 100 students and then give them bare minimum. So with time, that's one of the things we've maintained. That's why currently we have 333 students as opposed to having 1,000 plus students. The reason being, we'd rather have this number that we can maintain and sustain and give quality to than have a huge number that we can't sustain. It's quite unfair. Yes, we don't want to follow the footsteps of what most let me not mention names, institutions have resulted to. Yes.
Continue.
It dilutes quality. A huge number dilutes its quality. Unless you can keep up to it in the long run, it's not that easy. Yes.
Now, as you scale up, na pia as we talk about success stories, unajua wakati mwingine kama organizations you always have that challenge ya kwamba kuna mwanafunzi ambao mlikuwa mnasaidia but in between aka drop out, ama in between you decided let's terminate their whatever. Has it ever happened to you?
Yes, we've had those instances, and one of our policies, we always give a second chance. Like none of the scholarships we've terminated has been on a one-off basis. No. We give them 3 chances. So there is the first chance when the report is given to us, and then we figure out how can we help each other solve this problem. And then if it reoccurs again, so we give it a window period. If it reoccurs again, we give another warning and then help again together with the parent, the school, and the student. So it is a community thing. If it again reoccurs now, that is beyond us. So we've had like, I'll give you one instance of a boy.
Yes.
And with him, he was first involved in a disciplinary case in school. And he went a little rock akaenda funky. And I was like, okay, we've all done that at some point. So the school suspended him. And I was like, okay, we've all been through that. Maybe he was just curious. So when he was suspended, that means he misses school, because one of the things we insist on is all our kids need to be in school. Tukisikia wamefukuzwa, we feel very bad. So he was home for 2 weeks. And with that, of course, came a warning letter. We had a talk. We talked. We asked him what's happening. He lives with a grandmother. The father left. The mother left. So there was that loneliness and all. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to connect that to him running away from school. But anyway, let's work with that. So we gave him another chance. And this other next time he goes to school and he decides he's going to be the supplier of drugs in school. And now I am like, how do we handle this? And we now decided to involve the whole community. That is our mentor, get him someone to talk to him. It was a whole process. And for a month, because it was long holiday, so for a month we thought, he looks very good. Because when you talk to him, he listens and he does that. So we're like, okay, this is sorted. So he's been suspended, round 2. Round 3, he now decides peddling is not good. Let me take it. And now he's caught in school. And now with that meant expulsion. So we even told him, even God knows, we have tried, we have stepped in. So when it comes to matters school, we will not get involved. But anything psychosocial, we will support. So because at the end of the day, there are other factors that contribute to it. So we might not support at the school level, but matters psychosocial therapy, counseling, that we will support. So the mother was like, it's okay, I'll take him to a day school. He's sitting for his KCSE actually this year. I'll take him to a day school to finish his KCSE studies. So we've had those instances. This is just one of them.
So it's a challenge that it's always
It is
cross-border.
a challenge. These are vulnerable kids. Most of them have different coping mechanisms. They'll do anything to cope. They will run away. They will fight. They will use foul language. So it is us to guide them and ensure that they're on the right track. We don't expect perfection from them. That will be unfair, considering that half the time they're battling a lot of things in silence. So the best thing we can do is be there for them. Yes.
Najua kuna watu ambao wanatizama na labda pia wakiwa high school, labda ulikuwa suspended, ulifukuzwa shule sababu ya one thing or another. Just comment hapo. Nini ulifanya? What did you do ambayo ilipelekea mwenyewe kufukuzwa shule?
I was expelled.
You was expelled?
I was expelled and my scholarship terminated.
A reason? I'm a private and confidential.
It was not a big deal. What happened is I was in a mission school, and this particular Sunday we were going to church in school, and I didn't say hi to the director. I looked unhappy. And so when she asked me, I didn't respond because I thought, what sort of question is that? I haven't said hi, so what? Say hi back. Okay, the teenager in me was speaking at that time. So I didn't say hi to her, and nikampita and went. And kufika mbele, she calls me back, and I'm looking at her like, I was having one of those mornings and I'm exhausted, and she just got mad, and I was not even suspended, expelled.
Wow.
And that is how I ended up in a day school.
Now, I know BrightPath, you also envision something bigger for the organization, and maybe one day, one time, you will become the game changer, especially for education system. Now, how do you envision BrightPath influencing policy or systematic change in Kenya's education sector? Where do you see BrightPath when it comes to Kenya's education sector?
Yes, I see us, especially not just in the scholarship disbursement, but also in the mentorship, empowerment, and psychosocial sectors. I feel like that's one area that has been neglected, especially in our schools and institutions. For example, most of our kids that are in boarding schools, do they have counselors? It's usually one teacher, a Christian teacher actually. It's usually a CRE teacher or a CU leader, that teacher that leads there, that is told, where we handle maneno ya counseling. Are they equipped to handle these cases? Can they have a whole department for that? Most schools don't have empowerment. It's life skills. And life skills, it is that English teacher that will teach you, or that chemistry teacher that teaches you. This same teacher that most students don't align with in most cases. So can there be a curriculum around that and have a professional teacher that actually is educated, went to school to be trained to be a life skills teacher, and not just any random teacher mwenye inakwanga a teacher that is idle. And when there is no teacher, us mathematics teachers step in to teach mathematics if there's no one to teach life skills. So can that be a culture that is embraced? So I see us sitting at that table and helping shape such policies where kids not only acquire that basic education, but also more than just sitting in class and listening to a chemistry or biology. I'm not saying it's bad, but sometimes it's important. Have we asked ourselves why most of these kids ban schools? Maybe it's more. If they had a whole department or a whole section that handles issues, life skills, maybe they'd not result to banning school, because there'll be someone to listen to actually what the students have to say. I know millennials and the Gen X will beat me for this, because according to them is sisi siku zetu hakukuwa na vitu kama hizi. Mwanafunzi anafaa kusikiza mwalimu, unasikiza mwanafunzi kama nani?
Ndio kunafanywa research na wanasema that's why the millennials they grew up with fear. Wanaogopa sababu kuna mwalimu,
unafaa kukuwa unatoroka. In today's era we question authority. You are telling me to do this, why? why should I do it? How is it going to help me? But now it becomes a challenge because it is the millennials who are the teachers. So now it is a whole battle.
They expect that what they went
Mwalimu
through lazima
akisema
pia
mwanafunzi anafuatilia. If the teacher walks in, you walk the opposite direction. We are in a whole different era, raising different set of kids. Why not evolve with the change that is happening around? Figure out how can we both all coexist in the in the world without having to brush each other all the time and having to blame, because the younger, I don't want to say it's not all millennials. The older generation blame the younger generation. The younger generations blame. So there's a blame game. So what can we do to make sure there's this coexistence in the long run?
You've mentioned about counselors. Now, I was having a conversation with somebody. Akaniambia kwamba teachers should not be counselors in school. And some of that institutions need to hire people that are out of the teaching practice. Babu unaenda kunaambia mwalimu, then mwalimu bado anakuja na kufunza kwa class. So do you support this?
I agree. Teachers shouldn't. What a teacher can become is a listening ear. Because even in school, when you go to School of Education, psychology is one of the units that you're taught. And it's taught twice. I think I was taught twice in my first year and my fourth year. Yes. There was, because I majored in psychology. Yes. There was psychology first year and second and fourth year. And this is to equip the teacher to know how to handle different things, but not to be the major source of taking in. Because then another challenge is, as teachers know, when you go to the staff room, you'll again start discussing these students that told you something at a personal, confidential level. So it only makes sense to have professionals handle it, because they will recommend the right procedures and steps that need to be taken.
Let me just have a listen to our viewers huko nyumbani. What do you think? Do you think that walimu wanafaa kuwe counselors in school? Ama do you think that the government should employ watu ambao they are not teachers, watu be counselor, wameenda shule, they've gone through the process na they are certified counselors. Now, let me just get back to you. Tuzungumzie masuala ya your inspiration na pia your motivation. Sababu non-profit leadership can be emotionally demanding. How do you maintain passion and relevance? Sababu wakati mwingine unaamka unasema, man, hakuna funds, how do I begin? But how do you maintain the passion and the relevance, especially for your organization?
By keeping track to the mission and vision and the goals of the organization. That is how. Because especially the emotional bit, sometimes I am overwhelmed because half of these things, the things that the kids go through, I went through and probably worse. And every time I see them talk, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to cry in front of them lest they start thinking I am overreacting. So it's tough, especially the emotional bit. It's tough. And when you have to say no to new applicants, most people apply and then you reject and they feel like unawaonea. It's usually a very tough decision. I usually don't like to be in the decision-making table because I'll say yes to every application, but there's no money to take care of all that. So the emotional bit can be draining if you don't have an outlet. For myself, I have a mentor, someone I pour out to, and she's very good. She does a very good job on that. So I usually say she's like my therapist for that. So it helps to keep track, and she reminds me of what the goal is, of what the mission is, of what the vision is, and also how far we've come. And also just reminder that our kidogo wenye tuko now, we've gone a whole milestone ahead. So there's that. So
you've mentioned a mentor, and apia that's one of the ways that you recharge. Any routine that you always do kila siku kiamka that you feel like maze mimi nafanya hivi ndio at least nikiingia pale kazini I'm always recharged?
Yes. I am a sports person. I didn't stop. So I play football. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I play at night because mchana siko na kazi. So from 7:30, you will not get me around. Ukinipigia haunipati. I am somewhere recharging. Yes. So there's that. And there we don't talk about work. It's football. So
phones are off.
Everyone is there. Yeah. So there's that. And on weekends, there's of course church and then football in the afternoon on Sundays. So yes, that's how I recharge myself. I'm not an out person. So I would have said I go for a walk. I'll be lying. I don't go for those walks. Hata cycling ndadanganya, sifanya. Hata sijui kuendesha baiskeli.
I'm quite sure kuna watu ambao wako inspired with your story. Na kuna young people ambao wanasema I also want to make an impact in the society, na wanashangaa, where will I start, where will I begin? What advice will you give to that young person ambaye anasema I want to make an impact in the society, I want to also be like Josephine? Utawaambiaje?
Start where you are. Start wherever you are. I started in high school, and I was the school's president. Okay, after I was expelled.
Which high school?
I studied in 2 different schools. So I went to Lifespring Christian Academy and also went to Raila Educational Center in Kibera. So that's where I did my KCAC. I had to go back because now after being expelled, I had to redo Form 3. So I did Form 3 and Form 4 at Raila Educational Center. And I was the school president there. So that's where I started at my leadership position. How can I change the narrative? The narrative around was footballers are dumb. I think you've heard that.
Well, yeah.
Adi walimu, teachers used to tell us, wananiuliza unafanya nini football and you're a bright student. So there was that narrative. So I started by training our footballers. So I'd teach them mathematics and chemistry and physics. And it changed the narrative because now they were serious about school. They felt like sin. Then from there, when I went out into the society, I started volunteering for a group. It was called Young Debater Society. So I was partly a debater. That's why I talk a lot. So I'd volunteer that. And then we had a radio session. Then I'll go for the volunteer. Then I started now the mentorship work. How I got where I am today, it was purely through voluntary work. In 2020, when COVID hit, there was need for kids to be trained because schools had closed.
Yes.
So I volunteered as a teacher. So I was teaching, I had not even graduated, but I was teaching mathematics to girls in Dandora. So from that voluntary work in 2021, actually in 2022 April, they looked for me because of that voluntary work. So start somewhere. Your voice will touch someone because the phone call went like, we liked what we saw you do with our girls. Our girls' mentality on the STEM subjects have changed because most ladies don't like sciences. And we feel like you'd be of impact in this area with our girls. So that's how I got the first job, actually, before graduating. And that's how I joined the whole section. So start somewhere. Start with what you have and where you can. And don't beat yourself if you can't do the bigger thing. Sometimes you want to do more, but you can't. And then you can volunteer. We have organizations that, like, we call for volunteers as BrightPath. Every time schools close, we call for volunteers to help us with our students. We have other organizations that call for volunteers every now and then. So go online, check these organizations that are doing community work, see where you fit in, and start from there.
Now, having volunteered for a while, how do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line between volunteering and exploitation? Sababu kuna mtu anasema mimi nimevolunteer miaka 3, kweli hawanioni. Mwingine atasema kwamba I volunteered na I'm still not getting that the in thing ambayo unataka. How do you get to draw the line between volunteering and exploitation?
One thing I'd say, be honest. If you are volunteering and you feel like you can't do anymore, just say. Like with the first time the second time actually I was volunteering, I was like, I really want to volunteer, but I cannot afford transport. I was in Kikuyu campus. I cannot afford transport from Kikuyu to Dandora. So we reached an agreement. They're like, okay, we can give you pocket money for this particular period. And then I was like, okay, that would work for me. And also set your timeline. What do you want to achieve? Why are you volunteering? Yes. Most of us volunteer with the hopes of getting a job. So what is your timeline? Are you planning to volunteer for 2 years? Are you planning to volunteer for 6 months? So set a timeline and a target for yourself. If this time reaches, I need to be somewhere. So while you are volunteering also on the side, tafuta. Don't just say, nangoja hii ndio Mungu amesema. Hata Mungu anasaidia mtu anajisaidia. Look for something else. Yes.
Now, to those watching us, mimi nataka kujua, wewe uta volunteer for how long? Sababu kuna mtu anasema mimi I'll volunteer for 6 months, then kazi. I'll volunteer for 1 year. And where do you draw the line between volunteering and exploitation? Talk to us on our social media platforms. Alafu, I think we'll be sampling some of your reactions next week. Now, let's talk about the vision and the future for BrightPath. Where do you see BrightPath in the next 5 years, 6 years, and what is the bigger picture for you?
One, we see ourselves having a very large and active alumni network. like, because we don't want to release our kids just like that. We hope we have an active alumni network that will be able to help us with our students that are coming up. So that's where we first see ourselves. 2, we see ourselves having impacted lives, not just 1, not 2, but several, and that we continue doing what we do on a daily basis. So we don't see ourselves stopping. We see the numbers going higher and higher. But the most important thing is seeing our students create also impact in the society, the ones we've released. Because now with the new curriculum, it's with the most students we'll be having, it's 6 years at most. So at 5 years, we'll probably be having the first graduates that are graduating university. So the best, one of the major visions is can we bring them together and have a strong alumni network. And hopefully most of them have jobs. That is the most important thing, and the independence.
How can research firms help in supporting education?
I hear you on that. I think the best they can do is, other than just poverty, can they dig deeper and find this relevant, that I think I had mentioned previously? Can they find reasons why we have increasing numbers of dropouts? What is the number and why? Can they find out why we have so many young people depressed and what can be done about it? Can they help give us numbers or find out reasons as to why we have so many young girls that are getting pregnant, and who are the perpetrators, and how can that be curbed? I think it's deeper than just poverty. It's deeper than just sending kids to school. It's deeper than that. And also probably give us numbers onto some of the organizations that are specialized in such. Because the other day we were looking at how can we help these young girls that are running away from their communities due to female genital mutilation. Because we've had that. We've had girls that are coming to us. They're like, teacher, mimi, mama yangu na baba yangu wanataka nifanye hivi, na sitaki. Another one comes and like, my grandmother wants me to be circumcised, but I don't want. And this is a girl. So can they give us data on how to handle such cases, and that there are safe houses? Where can they be found? Are there organizations around this? I'm sure that data is somewhere, and that most of us don't know or haven't gone an extra mile to research about, so that even our children get to know, oh, okay, in such a case, if I'm here, I can get help from this and this place.
Now, you mentioned about early pregnancy, especially for ladies in the ghetto and those informal sectors. Nataka kujua, in your interaction with especially young men, what are some of the reasons ambao wanasema kwamba inawapelekea wenyewe kuacha shule, na what happens around men, especially the boy child?
Boy child, one, they drop out of school because of lack of school fees. Because most of sijui wanaume mnakuangaje, mnajiambianga kufa kimwanaume. So anaangalia situation ya home, anaona sinaweza hustle. Mbona nisumbue madhe? Ndarudi shule siku nyingine, ama acha story ya shule ikae. So anaamua, let me go hustle. Just yesterday, actually, I was having a conversation with a young man, and he was telling me, he had to leave school to take care of the siblings because aliona wazazi wamelemewa. You know, a girl doesn't think like that. That's not the first instinct that comes. The girl, the first thing that comes is, yeah, you just get married. That is a shortcut. But with the boy, they're like, sasa nita sustain aje home. Na mimi nitajisustain aje. Let me hustle and then support my sibling. Another one is drugs. And this one I am talking from experience. I've had so many of my boyfriends, how do I call, not in that context, huh? The boyfriend, okay, you get what I'm saying. Boys who are friends, yes, mabeshte, growing up, and most of them walipotelea drugs. Like two of my very good friends, they went into drugs, and when they started taking drugs in class 3. So imagine huyu akifika form 4. So by the time we were reaching high school, au sasa walikuwa suppliers. And the reason they did it, one, because they are my close friends, I will not share their names. One is because home alineglectiwa na wazazi. Aliachwa ajile. Akapata bad company. The other one, alipendwa sana. Alidekezwa. Alibembele. Ni mtoto wa mama yake. Usimshike.
Usimchape.
Usimchape. So he ended up into bad company. Akajipata kwa drugs. But they regret it. Because we'd meet and they'd tell me, Flo, by the way, kwa hii dunia fanya kila kitu, lakini usivute bangi. They're like, unaona pale imetufikisha, and they were bright, but that's where life took them. They had scholarships, their scholarships ended because of drugs. Now drugs can lead to now they went into gang violence because they needed to sustain themselves. Sasa ikabidi wameenda the other direction. So that's one of the things I saw, at least growing up, that was a hindrance. One of it was extreme poverty, and the other one was issues, drug and all that. But there's more to the story. It's just not the drugs. Yes.
Now, if policymakers, partners, or the public understood one research-backed fact about youth empowerment in Kenya, what could it be?
One research area that needs to be done about youth empowerment, if I'm getting it correctly. Research about, I think now I'm feeling like I'm repeating it, because it's the most thing that needs to be researched is what is more to now poverty. Go deeper into it. What causes it, and how does this affect the youths in terms of schoolwork, in terms of socialization, in terms of psychosocial well-being? So maybe research more into how poverty affects all these factors and how can it be addressed. Yes.
So Josephine, what are you working on at the moment?
At the moment, in terms of my projects?
Yes.
I think I'll keep that as a surprise because I'm working on a lot of things at a personal level. But for BrightPath, the major thing that I'm working on right now is parental engagement, how to engage more parents. Yes.
Now,
and how to ensure that parents understand their children more. Yes.
I want you to look into that camera. Nataka you big up your wale ambapo unafundisha, you teach, na pia talk to young people about social life and also empowerment, and also your last words to them.
Okay. To anyone watching us out there and watching this interview, I hope that you are not restricted or limited by your environment. You are bigger than your environment. Start small. You'll impact even that one person. It is very important than impacting a whole million people. It is that one person goes a long way. They don't forget. So reach out to someone, do something at your own personal level. It can even be at a family level, as long as you are impacting someone. Someone somewhere always needs someone to talk to. You can be a listening ear. You can be the listener. Anything. Just make sure you are impacting someone. If you want to help or reach out or volunteer at BrightPath Kenya, you can reach to our social handles at BrightPath Kenya on our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And there's also X. And if you want to reach out to us directly, you can reach out to our email address, info@brightpathkenya.org, or check out our website and message us. We will receive your message from there, brightpathkenya.org.
Thank you so much, Josephine. It has been a pleasure. So ladies and gentlemen, keep the conversation happening on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, kila mahali. Pale, it's Mwelekeo Insights and Mwelekeo TV. I have been talking to Josephine Flora, the founder of BrightPath Kenya, an organization that helps the most vulnerable in the society, but ambitious, wale ambao wanatamani sana kupiga msingi in terms of education and other co-curriculum activities. My good name is Tony Yakoko. Let's catch up again next time. Till then, keep safe.